My mother stood up at my engagement party, smoothed the front of her blazer, and handed me a folder. Not a card, not a toast. A folder with a clear plastic cover, the kind she used for client invoices at her bookkeeping office. She set it on the table between the champagne flute and the engagement cake, looked at me with the same face she used for past due notices, and said, "It is time we had an honest conversation about what this family has invested in you." 42 guests went quiet. My fiancé's hand found mine under the tablecloth. I opened the folder. $186,400. The cost of raising me, itemized and due now that I was getting married. But here's what none of them knew. I had brought my own folder too. Welcome back to the channel. I am Claire, and I am 31 years old. This is the story of the night my mother tried to bill me for my own childhood, and the audit I handed back that she never saw coming. If you have ever had someone put a price tag on raising you, if you have ever been told that love comes with interest, this one is for you. Drop a comment and subscribe before we get into it, because you are going to want to see how this ends. I should start with the bookkeeping office. My mother, Patricia Bennett, has run Bennett Bookkeeping out of a strip mall in Maumee, Ohio for almost 30 years. She balances other people's books for a living, and somewhere along the way, she decided to balance her own children too. I remember being maybe 7 years old, sitting at the kitchen table while she opened a ledger book, the actual paper kind with green and white rows, and wrote my name at the top of a page. Underneath, she wrote the date of my dance recital costume and the cost, $44. Underneath that, the cost of my school photos, $22. She did this for every expense, every year, in a notebook she kept in the same drawer as her client files. My younger sister Brooke had her own page. I did not understand it then. I understood it later. My father, Robert, owns a small print shop 2 doors down from my mother's office. He is a quiet man, the kind who agrees rather than argues. And over the years, he learned to let my mother run our household the way she ran her clients' accounts. Nothing in, nothing out without a record. When I was 16, I wanted to take a summer program in graphic design at the community college. It cost about $300. My mother did not say no. She pulled out a single sheet of paper, typed it herself, and called it a family contribution agreement. It said that Patricia and Robert Bennett had advanced funds for my education and that I would repay the family once I was financially independent. There was a line at the bottom for my signature. I was 16. I signed it because refusing would have meant not going, and going mattered more to me than the principle of it. My sister watched from the hallway. She did not say anything. She just watched. I went on to study accounting at the University of Toledo, then became a Certified Internal Auditor. I work at a regional bank now, reviewing other people's financial records for a living, which is either a deeply ironic career choice or the only one that ever made sense for someone raised the way I was raised. My first job paid $42,000 a year. 3 months in, my mother called about a printer that broke down at my father's shop. I sent $4,200 without thinking twice. He was my father. The shop was how he paid his bills. That was the beginning. The following year, my mother needed a new business insurance policy. $6,300. The year after that, Brooke had a gap in her tuition she could not cover. $9,800. Then the roof on the house needed replacing. $13,500. Then my father needed emergency dental work that insurance would not fully cover. $6,200. Then property taxes came in higher than expected. $9,500. Then my mother wanted to upgrade the press at my father's shop to keep up with a competitor. $18,500. I am an auditor. Tracking money is not a personality trait for me. It is a professional habit. So somewhere around year 3, I opened a spreadsheet. I called it Family Support Log. Date, amount, purpose, running total. At the time, I told myself I was just being organized. I did not realize I was building a case file. Alongside the big emergencies, there were monthly transfers too. They started small, around $600, and crept upward every time my salary did, until they settled around $2,000 a month. Sent automatically on the first, no note, no thank you, no acknowledgement. I added a column to my spreadsheet called Acknowledged. Every single row said no. If you have ever sent money home and never once heard the words, "thank you," type "I know this feeling" in the comments, because what happened at my engagement party is the reason I'm telling you this story tonight. 3 months before the party, my cousin Ashley called to congratulate me on the engagement. Then she said something strange. She said, "Your mom mentioned you have not really been around much for the family lately." I held the phone away from my face for a second. I had sent her parents money for a roof, her own father a press upgrade, and somehow I had become the daughter who was not around. I called my aunt in Dayton out of curiosity. Same story. My mother had been telling people I had pulled away from the family since my career took off. She was rewriting the story while I was still writing the checks. I sat down that night and opened my spreadsheet. I added a notes column. I started documenting every conversation, every claim, every contradiction. And because old habits do not die, that same week I paid another bill, a software renewal for my mother's office. $3,000. I am telling you that detail because it matters later. 1 week before the engagement party, I drove home to Mommy to help set up. My mother was unusually cheerful that week, which from her was a warning sign in itself. She kept opening her desk drawer at the office and closing it again whenever I walked in. My sister Brooke, now 27 and working part-time at the bookkeeping office, left a printed folder on the office copier one afternoon. I saw the words "Family Accounting Summary" on the cover page before she snatched it away and told me it was a client file. The night before the party, Brooke found me in the kitchen getting water. She said, "Mom has something planned tomorrow." I asked her what kind of something. She said, "An itemized statement." I asked if she was warning me or preparing me. She said, "I am just telling you so you are not blindsided." Then she added, "You always land on your feet, Claire. You always do." And she walked out of the room. I did not sleep much that night. I sat at my laptop and opened the spreadsheet I had been keeping for 7 years, and I did something I had never once done. I scrolled to the very bottom. I had never added it up before. The number sat there in bold. $214,900. 7 years of transfers and emergencies, and I had never once looked at the total. My mother was about to hand me a bill for $186,400. I had already paid more than that, almost $30,000 more, and never once asked for a single dollar back. At 2 a.m, in my childhood bedroom, on the same desk where I used to do algebra homework, I printed everything. Every transfer, every date, every purpose, organized into a clean summary with a cover page. I typed across the top, "Certified Audit, Family Financial Contributions prepared by Claire Bennett, Certified Internal Auditor." I stapled it, slid it into a plain envelope, and packed it in my bag next to my dress for the next day. I hoped I would not need it. I hoped my mother would stand up, say something warm, and sit back down. I was wrong. If you know the difference between a family that celebrates you and a family that invoices you, type "I see it below," because here's exactly how the night went. The party was at a banquet room above a restaurant downtown. String lights, a small dance floor, 42 guests. My fiancé Daniel gave a toast about marrying someone who shows up for everyone she loves. His parents toasted next, warm and simple, no agenda. Then my mother stood up. She started warm the way she always does. "We are so proud of Claire," she said. Then the pivot. "But raising a child is not free, and tonight, with this engagement, we think it is time the family had an honest accounting." She walked over with the folder I had seen the corner of weeks earlier and set it in front of me. Hospital and delivery, $9,800. Childcare birth to 5, $31,200. Clothing, $19,000. Food, $46,800. Housing share, $41,000. Utilities share, $16,800. Health insurance share, $12,200. School fees, $6,800. Extracurriculars, $2,800. Total, $186,400. Payable now that you are getting married and established. The room had gone completely silent. I read it twice, set it flat on the table, and smoothed it with my palm the way I smooth a client statement before a meeting. "I am an auditor," I said. "Let's actually audit this. Hospital and delivery, $9,800. But you had insurance through Dad's trade association, out of pocket for a standard delivery in this county. At that time, was closer to $2,000. Childcare, $31,200. But Grandma watched me 3 days a week until I was 4, unpaid, by her own choice. Realistic number, maybe 12,000. Clothing, $19,000. I wore Brooke's hand-me-downs until I was 13. Food, $46,800. But I qualified for reduced lunch at school for 6 years, which means the household received federal assistance the entire time. My mother's face had gone very still. I am not finished, I said, because if we are doing invoices tonight, I brought one too. I reached into my bag and set my envelope beside hers. I opened it slowly, the way you open a report before a board meeting. I held up the cover page so the room could see it. Certified Audit, Family Financial Contributions, prepared by Claire Bennett, Certified Internal Auditor. For 7 years, I said, I have sent money to this family. Monthly transfers with no terms and no interest, plus emergency payments whenever something came up. A new press for Dad's shop, a roof on the house, Brooke's tuition gap, property taxes, a business insurance premium, dental work. None of it requested in writing, all of it given freely. I turned the page. Total contributed $214,900. I let the room sit with that number. Then I picked up both folders and held them side by side. Your invoice says I owe this family $186,400. My records show I have already paid this family $214,900. I set them down. By your own math, Mom, the family owes me $28,500. I'm not going to collect it because I never gave that money as a transaction. I gave it because you are my parents, and because that is what family does when it is real. My mother's hands were shaking. She said, "We gave you everything." I said, "You gave me a childhood. That is what parents do. It is not a loan." My father, Robert, who had not said a word all night, finally spoke. "Pat," he said quietly, "this is enough." My mother looked at him like he had switched sides in a war she did not know was happening. She grabbed her purse and walked out. Brooke followed her. My father stayed in his seat with his head down. Daniel's mother stood up, walked over, and put her hand on my shoulder. She did not say anything dramatic. She just said, "You did not deserve any of that," and then she asked the DJ to play something. The room exhaled. People stood up. People danced. People came up to me one at a time for the rest of the night and quietly told me they had no idea. Brooke texted me 2 days later, "You humiliated Mom in front of everyone." I read it, set my phone down, and did not respond, because there was nothing in that sentence that needed an answer. My mother called once, crying, and said I could have just told her privately. I told her I tried. For 7 years, every time I sent a transfer with no thank you attached. She did not have a response to that. The following week, I canceled the monthly transfer. $2,000 a month for 3 years, gone with one tap. I opened a savings account instead. No name attached yet, just in case. For whatever Daniel and I build together. My father texted me once, just 3 words. "I am sorry." I have not figured out yet what to do with those words, but I saved them. My spreadsheet is still on my laptop. I never deleted it, not because I need it as a weapon, but because some records are worth keeping as proof that the truth was always there, long before anyone was ready to hear it. Love is not a ledger. The people who raise you give you something that cannot be invoiced, and the moment they try, you have every right to show them the receipts. If someone ever handed you a bill for being loved, tell me about it in the comments below. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. Thank you for watching.